What is up, everybody? Jesse Lee here, and in this video we're going to be talking about a comparison between Klaviyo SMS and Attentive SMS for marketing. Now, a couple bits of context on this video. This is coming from somebody who helps e-commerce store owners on a daily basis implement SMS marketing. All right, so this is going to be partly my own point of view, partly the point of view of other people who've gone, have worked with. And there are many of them that have used these companies, and so I see kind of the results. So while I will try to keep this very non-biased, I'm just going to let you know at the end of this, you're probably going to see my clear winner. But I want to give you all the facts and just kind of, treat it like completely non-biased. All right? So now, with that in mind, know that I am coming at this from sort of the e-commerce angle. So this is something that you should take that into account as you're watching this. If you're not an e-commerce seller, if you're an affiliate marketer or something like that, you got to take all these points and weight them in your, with your own pros and cons list. If you're doing something else like info marketing or something like that, just take this all into account. All right. So, but for e-commerce, that's sort of the area that I'm coming from, because that's so many of my clients. All right. So, so I got a list here of the things that I wanted to cover in this. I wanted to cover pricing. I wanted to cover attribution, right? The numbers, the reporting. I wanted to cover the overall marketing power of each, right? Because they're different. Even though they're both SMS, there's reasons why one might outperform the other one, and we'll see that. I do want to talk a little bit about compliance, because I think that's important. That's something I work in on a pretty regular basis. And then any major roadblocks that I see, all right? So let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, pricing. This is something that I'm really stingy about as myself when I help people. If you go to Attentive's website, something that is very frustrating to me is the fact that they don't list their pricing right on there. Now, if you are in a business and you have a working, some working e-commerce business already with email already implemented, and you kind of know the overhead you have to be able to spend on SMS, what's going to happen is you'll be able to, if you have the actual numbers, you'll be able to kind of calculate and see like, okay, which one do I want to go with? Which one is more efficacious, right? So now both of these are going to change a little bit depending on the plan. They have different structures, right? Klaviyo SMS is not quite the same as Attentive. They're going to because Klaviyo has email wrapped in it, they have different pricing structures, right? Here's the thing with Attentive pricing. You can't find it anywhere on their website. In fact, I actually just went and I didn't Google it. I braved it. I have a browser called Brave. By the way, if you want some protection for your personal data and your privacy, check that out. So I was on Brave and I was searching for things, and I couldn't find on Attentive's website itself or anywhere else that I couldn't find the pricing that Attentive uses, right? The only way I know some of the pricing is from the clients that I have that use this, right? So I know for a fact that Attentive is going to be more expensive than Klaviyo. And part of that is because Klaviyo has the email portion of their business, which they already make a ton of money at. So they're able to subsidize some of the cost for anybody who's starting fresh with SMS. So if you go to klaviyo.com / I can't remember what it is. Let me get this website here for you. Klaviyo.com / pricing, I believe is what it is. Let me see here. Pricing. Yeah. So Klaviyo.com / pricing. And what you're going to be able to do is you'll be able to just type in how many clients you have, and you'll be able to see the pricing right there, right? So that, to me, as a business owner, is super important if I want to just run some rough numbers. All right, so you'll be able to see. And on the free plan with Klaviyo, you'll see that, and by the way, you need to check which country you're in, because I'm in the U.S., right? So if I'm marketing in the U.S., I'm going to want to pick the U.S. pricing on that page, because it changes a little bit depending on U.S. and Canada are very similar, and then Australia and the U.K. are very similar, and those are going to be more because they use alphanumeric sending IDs. Now, alphanumerics have some limitations. Again, this is not a Klaviyo limitation. It's a sort of industry-wide limitation. Alphanumerics, they're letters, right? So you can't text them, which means you don't have conversational texting available with alphanumerics. You also are going to be paying a little bit more. Probably with Klaviyo, it's about 3 cents per SMS instead of 1 cent in the US or Canada, right? So keep that in mind. And then the other thing you're not going to be able to do is you won't be able to send multimedia messages in the UK or Australia because they're using alphanumerics, right? So full disclosure on that, but all that pricing is spelled out on the Klaviyo page. You can check it out really easily. So just keep that in mind. So that's the pricing. On the Attentive page, they do have a request a demo, so you can request the demo and get the pricing after getting on the phone with a salesperson. But personally, I know those sales techniques because I have worked in internet marketing for a really long time, and I don't like those sales techniques, quite frankly. I've been on teams where I've used them and things like that, and I understand the rationale behind it. But as a business owner, if you're looking for, okay, how do I, how do I get some concrete numbers that I can sink my teeth into so I can gauge, is this investment going to be worth it? I just really like having that pricing right on the front page there. So Klaviyo does that for you. So so go over to klaviyo.com/pricing and check that out. Just type in whatever numbers you got, however many subscribers. If you have email as well and you're looking to add SMS, just know that that's possible. Also, again, they do offer a free plan on the front end up to 50 subscribers or 150 SMS in the US and Canada, or 50 SMS in UK or Australia. So they have that nice little freebie on the front end for any who's starting totally fresh, who doesn't have a big subscriber list. All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing I want to talk about is attribution. Now, attribution, I know for a fact Klaviyo tends to want to under-report, and Attentive tends to want to over-report. And when I say over-report, I mean they, by default, at least this is, you can change, by the way, you can adjust the attribution window, right? But Attentive, their attribution is much longer. And by attribution, I mean when somebody clicks a link, how long does is that link cookied for to where the sale for that link click from a text message, how long is that active before that sale gets reported back to your, let's say, Shopify dashboard? If that's, you're probably using a Shopify or some sort of e-commerce dashboard. All right, so here's the issue with Attentive. If you have a 30-day attribution window, you send somebody a text today, right? To me, if somebody, answers a text today, but then they're shopping on your site 30 days from now and they make a purchase, that should not be attributed to the text. That should be attributed to what other, because they might not have even touched the text in the last 30 days. They might be on your site for a completely different reason, whether it's an email click or a click from a social media ad, right? So just keep that in mind. They have a very long attribution window. Again, you can adjust these. Klaviyo's is by default 24 hours. Now, just so you all know, Klaviyo's attribution, they have a 5-day email attribution. So their email isn't even as long as Attentive's SMS. And the rationale there is if somebody doesn't answer a text probably within 24 to 48 hours, are they really going to? Probably not. Again, that's for you and your business to decide, but these are adjustable. But just know by default, Klaviyo's is 24 hours for SMS, 5 days for email. And then it's last click, but let's say somebody clicks, you got a 5-day attribution window, somebody clicks on an email link day 1, and then day 2 they click on the SMS link. Well, what's going to happen is after that 24 hours runs out, the attribution will go back to the email for the remainder of the 5 days. But again, you can change all of these things in your dashboard. So this is not a tutorial. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but know that you can change the attribution window. So what does this have to do with anything? Well, when you're reporting, right, Attentive, they only do SMS. Klaviyo does email and SMS. So the reason this is important is, well, if Klaviyo, let's say you're integrating the two and you're using Klaviyo for email and Attentive for SMS. Well, let's say somebody clicks on an Attentive text message today, and then 1 week from now they get an email from Klaviyo. They click it and they purchase off of that. Well, now that sale is going to be attributed to both Attentive and Klaviyo, right? So you're going to be over-reporting, and you're going to be seeing more revenue than you actually have. And this has happened to customers of mine where they say, well, this dashboard says we made 50 grand, and this other dashboard says we made 100 grand. And so theoretically, we should have made 150 grand, but if we look at our bank account, we only made 75. I mean, we only made 100 grand or 125 grand. So just be aware that the attribution issues, it does cause issues having two different platforms like that. And I'm going to touch on this when I get to the roadblocks at the end of this portion. So just know the link attribution is super important for you to be able to calculate your revenue. So that's another reason, something else to take into account. If you're already using Klaviyo, the clear winner here would be going with Klaviyo because you have much cleaner analytics. You're going to have, and because Klaviyo integrates with Facebook and things like that, you're just, overall, everything's going to be so much cleaner, right? They integrate with Shopify and Facebook. So if you're running Facebook ads for your e-commerce company, you're just going to get much cleaner reporting overall if you go with Klaviyo SMS. All right. Now, overall marketing power. This is something that I wanted to talk about. Overall marketing power. It's to me, it's a non-issue to pick between the two. If I had the choice between Klaviyo SMS and Attentive, which I don't, because I help other customers manage their stuff, right? I let them pick based on their own needs. But if I was still doing e-commerce, which I don't anymore, again, I'm more consulting now. If I was still doing e-commerce, it'd be an easy decision for me. I would definitely go with Klaviyo SMS because Klaviyo email is by far the best for e-commerce, right? If any of you know the whole story of Klaviyo, you know that it's basically a data collection machine. Unlike, say, MailChimp or Aweber, these other email services, their whole goal was, well, we want to start an email platform. And so they started with the email platform first, right? And that really, that led them to build an email platform, right? People, you can go and email all of your customers. Klaviyo, their data collection, that's kind of where they started. They started more with data collection. So if you look at their back-end analytics, it's much, 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 much more robust in terms of not only the analytics you get, but the segmentation that you can do, right? You have all of that power there. It's unbelievably powerful. And when you wrap that with email, it becomes even more powerful. And then you wrap that all with SMS, and then you integrate that with like Facebook and Shopify. It just creates this amazingly powerful integration. The other thing you can do is you can do advanced targeting, right? Because Klaviyo can cookie people if they voluntarily give up their email address. Let's say they sign up for an email address. It makes it so easy for you to then retarget them with a different pop-up that's specific to their journey and not have so many pop-ups hitting them all at the same time. So this is a whole nother topic. I can't get into this, but you can do insanely advanced segmentation in terms of pop-ups, different types of coupons that you offer people, all sorts of things that you just can't do if you have your information separated on two platforms. You can only do so much with Attentive, and it sucks, but Attentive is really powerful for what they are, but it's not even close when you compare it with how much data Klaviyo has as a whole, even beyond, before you even get to the email section. Just be able to view where your customers are at and figure out what you want to do with them. So to me, it's an easy decision, Klaviyo or Attentive. In terms of overall marketing power, definitely, if you're already using Klaviyo for email, you definitely want to sign up for Klaviyo SMS instead of Attentive. It is going to be a little bit cheaper than Attentive too. So just know that while Klaviyo doesn't have some of the feature sets that Attentive does because they just launched SMS. Let's see, what year am I recording this? I'm in 2022 now, March 2022, and they just launched in 2021. They don't have they might not have as many bells and whistles in terms of the actual product feature set, but because of all of the data that they have on people, it's just so much more powerful. So I would say that's an easy decision for me. Definitely Klaviyo SMS on that one. In terms of compliance, I know for a while Attentive was using Twilio as their upstream provider, and they had very similar deliverability rates and things like that. Again, I work in the compliance world for SMS, so I see this stuff kind of on a daily basis. The one thing that had worried me a little bit with Attentive, again, I don't want to call anybody out here because I don't know exactly what they're doing, but if you look at the terms of service on Klaviyo's forms, all the terms of service have to link back to the business owner, right? Who owns that email list, who owns that business. it was looking for a little while. This might, if you research this online, this might have changed, right? But for a little while, I was noticing that all of the terms of service on Attentive forms led back to Attentive's terms of service. And there was word of Attentive sharing things like short codes, right? So whenever you sign up for a short code, it could take a very, very long time to transfer a short code from one company to another, or to even get approved for a short code, because there's just there's so much involved between, you have the provider itself, like somebody like Attentive or Klaviyo or whatever, and then you have the upstream providers like Twilio and anybody else. So the approval process to get a short code, because the throughput is so much higher, is a very long process. It's a huge pain in the butt. I don't recommend it. I would recommend just getting your free toll-free number with Klaviyo or something, it's just going with that. But if you really want that short code, it takes a while to get. Now, again, I don't like to spread false rumors, so I'm just going to tell you what I've seen on the outside. Is it is incredibly fast for a little while for Attentive to be able to get you a short code. And the fact that their terms of service all led to their terms of service instead of the individual business owners, there's something to be said about that. There could be a potential that Attentive was sharing short codes, and which is why they were able to get them to people so quickly. So this is a big, big no-no. I don't want to say that is what they're doing, but because I know how long it can take to actually get one of those short codes, the fact that it's so fast with Attentive, it sets the alarm bells off in my brain, right? So this compliance stuff is very, very important. Y'all need to know that compliance is not a joke when it comes to SMS. It's not a joke when it comes to email, but SMS is even more so. You can get fined a lot of money if you're not doing things on the up and up. So it is my guess that if this hasn't stopped already with Attentive, that it probably will in the future, because this is a big no-no. All right, so you shouldn't be sharing short codes. This is particular to each individual business. So just know that, again, check their website. They might have updated this at some point. You should check their compliance. But for me, in terms of compliance, I am definitely in favor of Klaviyo. So just, that's one person to many. That's a personal opinion. Just take it as that, all right? So, but know that compliance is not a joke. You do not want to be messing around with that. So I would say do your due diligence, and these things are always changing. So whenever you're watching this video, you might need to check back, because again, I'm recording this March 2022. All these things could have been updated by the time you're watching this video. So please go and just do your due diligence on compliance. SMS is no joke. You can get fined a lot of money if you are not, taking care. So now, common roadblocks. This is roadblocks of, specifically I wanted to talk about roadblocks of if you're an e-commerce owner using Shopify and you're using Klaviyo, or if you're not using Klaviyo, maybe you're using MailChimp or some other e-commerce email system, the roadblocks with this, all right? So let's say you're using Shopify or, whatever, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, any of the custom integrations for Klaviyo. The nice thing about Klaviyo is that once you set up your integration, and developers are a different thing. If you got a custom coded website, this is going to be something that probably won't even apply to you, because you're just going to need to do a lot of research on your own to build this. But if you are any one of the major e-commerce platform users, Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, whatever the other ones are, PrestaShop I think was one of them. Once you get Klaviyo SMS integrated, once you get Klaviyo email integrated, right? SMS just sort of sits on top of it, and there's nothing really extra to do except for if you want to collect consent at checkout, but you're not reconnecting integrations. So the big issue with Attentive is, while they are a very good SMS platform, pretty robust platform, and they have a lot of great functionality with their flows and things like that, there's a couple things, a couple big roadblocks, and one of them is the integration between emails and SMS, right? One of them is just setting that up, right? It's a pain in the butt to integrate any two services. So for me, my money is like, if one service has both of them under one roof, that's what I want to use. When it comes to building out your automated flows, right? So let's for instance, take an abandoned cart flow, right? If you have two separate services like Attentive and Klaviyo, Klaviyo for email, Attentive for SMS, or let's say it's Klaviyo, or let's say it's MailChimp and Attentive, and you're trying to create an abandoned cart flow. Well, it's really tough to know exactly when to fire those things, and you won't be able to split test to see for best results, right? So maybe you have the idea, okay, well, let's for the abandoned cart, let's wait 4 hours and send an email, and then we'll wait 2 hours after that to send an SMS, and then we'll wait one more day after that to send another email, right? So you have 2 emails and an SMS right between. If you don't have all that kind of under one roof, it makes it a lot harder to split test to see variations. I have customers that they've split tested. After the first email, they want to send an SMS 4 hours after, and then they want to split test with 2 hours. If you have everything under one flow builder, you can see all of those things. In fact, normally I see abandoned cart SMS do really well between 2 and 4 hours after that first email. But I have one customer, they split tested a whole bunch of variations in terms of timing, and after the first email on their abandoned cart email, they came up with what's actually works the best was sending the SMS 10 minutes after that first email. Now, if you have both of your services under different platforms, it makes it really hard to split test stuff like that. So that's a huge roadblock to me. If I can get everything under one platform so that I can see, split testing, if you're a business owner, you should never not be split testing. This is one of the most important things you can do. I'll probably do a whole video on this in the future, but just know that this is super, super important. And if you don't have everything under one hood that you can kind of look under and just like make little tweaks, it makes it so much harder when you have to actually adjust things on 2 different platforms because you're logging into different platforms and everything. Man, if you have Klaviyo and SMS and email together, it makes it so easy to just you open up the flow and you just click and drag whatever you need to do. Super, super easy. All right. So those are the few basic things I wanted to cover. Again, we talked about pricing, attribution, overall marketing power, compliance, roadblocks, all that stuff. I hope this was helpful to you. Obviously, you can see my clear winner is Klaviyo. That's the platform that I think is the best in terms of this. In terms of, they might not have the most functionality, but their development team is crazy fast, and they take it into, I mean, if you want a feature request from them, just ask them and they'll put it on their list. And I know because I've done this. Yeah, it's a very good platform. Again, some people might need Attentive for specific features. Again, if that's for you, great. Notice I'm not going to put any affiliate links down below or anything like that. This is purely for your education. My bet is on Klaviyo, just because I think they're a very powerful platform. That's kind of it. Yeah, if you have any other questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, you can go to this next video that's going to talk about how to start with Klaviyo SMS. It's going to be great. So click that video and start on there's a 7-part series I'm offering on how to basically kickstart your Klaviyo SMS. So, all right, talk to you soon.